paying a poor person to impregnate you so your mother can be responsible for actually raising it, a classic dude thinking open relationships are cool and then being kicked out of it, an insane dating nightmare that revolves around the death of multiple animals, a wife who thought she'd get pity online but then deletes her entire history within 24 hours, and a man desperately seeking help for this situation. Hello once again my snacks, welcome back. My name is Jack. It is time for some insane stories, so let's begin. I traveled to a foreign country to get pregnant by a complete stranger with no strings attached. I consider it to be the best decision I ever made. This is the story of someone making the possibly worst decision they've ever made. 7 years ago, when I was 24 years old, I decided that I wanted to have a child while I was still relatively young and energetic. I had a college degree, made $90K a year as a marketing analyst, and had been investing in the stock market since high school, so I knew I could afford to take care of my kid. Problem was that I didn't really want to be with a guy. I tried the dating thing, but nothing clicked, and besides, I was always too busy to invest in a relationship. At the same time, I wanted a child, someone I would love forever and who would forever love me. And I didn't want to wait until my biological clock started ticking alarmingly. I considered going to a sperm bank. I could afford it. But I've always hated medical environments and thought it would be creepy to have a child with a faceless man. I thought about getting naturally inseminated by a guy I met online, but I didn't want to deal with child custody issues. This all makes total sense. Why be with a guy? They're basically man-children that you have to mother all the time. You have to consider their thoughts and feelings in a relationship. Not worth it if you don't have the time to invest in it. Unlike children, who don't require any investment whatsoever in regards to their thoughts, feelings, and taking care of them like a child. Finally, I decided that since I'd already planned a 3-week working vacation to a foreign country, I won't say which one for privacy reasons, I might as well try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Long story short, after asking around and paying some people, I found this guy who was willing to sleep with me every night for 3 weeks. Since this country has a low cost of living, he was willing to do the deed for a few $100s. He spoke okay English and wore a button-down shirt. So I think he was a college student who wanted some extra spending money. I didn't really expect it to work, but 2 weeks after I got back, I missed my period and discovered that I was pregnant. Yay! The rest of my pregnancy went really well. My mum was a little shocked at first, but she moved in with me after she got used to the idea of becoming a grandma before the age of 50. My dad ditched my mum when I was a baby, so screw him. I switched to working from home 6 months into my pregnancy and was even promoted a few months after I gave birth. Having a marketable, pun intended, degree is a great investment, kids. My son is now 6 years old and the happiest little boy I know. He has a mother and a grandmother who love him to pieces and can give him a good life. When COVID hit and his school went remote, my mum was able to make sure he kept up with his learning. Support systems are so important, everyone. What I'm saying is, sometimes you shouldn't be afraid to take the road less traveled. I'm over 30, and I haven't met any guy that I want to date, much less settle down with. But I have a son who I'll love forever, and who will forever love me. I'm even thinking of going back to that country to give him a sibling. Everyone still thinks that I got knocked up by accident, a youthful mistake while on vacation type of deal. Only I know the truth. My son is not some unfortunate mistake. He's a deliberate miracle. So many of my female friends are hitting their 30s and scrambling to find a guy and or get pregnant, but I'm coasting along, happy as a clam. This is something a 17-year-old who is mad at her ex would think sounds like a viable life strategy. This story's from off my chest, hence it being more of a ramble of sorts. One of the biggest red flags being this fact that because you have a child, they're going to love you forever, as if that's owed to you because you push them into this world without them even getting a say into what they're gonna fall into. The OP seemingly bounced because for one, people thought this was just karma farming, but also kinda sociopathic, exploiting a man in a developed country to get you pregnant with a child you clearly see as an extension of yourself. Now you have no idea what sort of biological history this child might have and have to be a rare of growing up. But also, what, you're never gonna let them know the story of the fact you got yourself pumped and dumped by some stranger over the seas because you had the money? What a wonderful reason to know why you exist in this world. Because mommy was bored. On top of everyone pointing out the idea of your child loving you forever just because you gave birth to them, I wouldn't be surprised if that's an extension of the unrequited love she's felt towards her father. other. Either way, it's a great example as to the worst reason to have a child. You should seek having children purely for the motivation of raising someone who becomes better than you in this world. And even then, your love for them is unrequited. It doesn't need any sort of expectation of being reciprocated, but like a passion project of yours, you're just happy that you had the chance to make it exist. Now over to True Off My Chest, where old mate here got a little more than he bargained for. My girl wanted a threesome. Please excuse my English, I'm not used to texting a lot. I'm very angry and confused right now and don't know how to act. It's 3 a.m, but I can't sleep. I'm a 33-year-old male, and my girl, let's call her Ellie, 36, are together for 4 years. We live in an open relationship since day one. We deeply love, trust, and respect each other. We know all our social accounts, we text and call each other on our mobiles and so on. No secrets, no hiding. And of course, we enjoy each other's bodies. We do have strict rules. Separate flats and living 20 minutes from each other. Actually, our life is pretty cool. We are both independent. We don't want any kids. We have the same hobbies of bouldering, kickboxing, hiking, decent jobs, enjoying our time trusting each other without hesitation. She has some guys she spends time with, and so do I with another beautiful person. Ellie's got 2 partners she has intimacy with, a female and a male, and another one for rope stuff and an exchange of fantasies she's doing with me, and sometimes we let him watch. By the way, that's her ex.
Oh God, dude.
Okay, I'm just bringing that stuff up so you can understand that we are very open about everything, and so you can at least guess the parameters of our relationship. Now about my problem. I have never fallen in love, like many of you may say. I need connection to be with someone, mental and physical, and it takes time until the butterflies and all that stuff is starting. It all started with Ellis's wish to have a threesome, including me. We tried it a few times with a friend who's male of ours, but unfortunately, I'm not much into guys, which frustrates me sometimes. Ellie is indeed bi, so I've never had a problem with that. Understandable, I guess. Back to the story. Sadly, we don't like girls of the same type, and that's where Sphere, 31, kicks in. We met her in a max 40 party in a swinger club 6 months ago and changed numbers. I assume they meant exchanged. After meeting half a dozen times in the last month, this woman left us flabbergasted. We spent 3 weekends in the last 2 months already, and I'm addicted to her. I told this to Ellie, and since then, things got strange. So on Tuesday evening, I wanted to order food with her on her mobile, which is normal. I pay and she gets the points for the order. But when I went to use it, she changed the phone lock. That was unusual. When I asked her later on, she avoided the topic. I didn't want to put her into distress, so I went to sleep after the movies we watched. But I noticed that she took her mobile into the bathroom and spent there for half an hour before coming to bed. Now, we're both not very addicted to our phones and are busy after work with sports and social stuff, so it's not rare that we don't text each other for 1 or 2 days, excluding good mornings or sleep well messages, because we see each other mainly on the weekends only sometimes, but we also stay at each other's places during the week. But she didn't write back to me from Wednesday to Saturday, so I was worried and drove to her place, but she wasn't home. On Sunday, same thing. By the way, we have keys to each other's places. I called her brother and her best friend. The best friend told me that he has no idea, but now I guess he's just protecting her. I already wanted to go to the police, but then Ellie called out of nowhere and told me that we shouldn't meet. And she thinks I should leave Sphere alone for a while too. She won't tell me why, but after that, Sphere also wrote me a similar kind of text message, but that she will call me on Monday or Tuesday. Ellie is ignoring my calls and messages, and I don't know where the frick she is. So this is the actual situation. It feels like I lost 2 precious people in my life, and I don't get it. She's acting like a child, hiding herself, and I cannot sleep, cannot eat, and thinking 24/7 about them. It sucks so damn hard. Does anyone have an idea as to what could have happened? I'm thinking about some really bad scenarios. Or am I just overreacting? I don't think so. Top comment before the update. I'm sorry to say, but it sounds to me like Ellie and Sphere have developed something without you. Telling Ellie that you are addicted to Sphere probably made Ellie jealous, and now she's avoiding you. My guess? She's at Sphere's place right now. I mean, if you got the same type of message from both of them, then they are talking to each other about you. So that's my guess. Though thankfully in the update, she does end up contacting him. Small update. I'm heading to work now and got a long message from her while asleep. I won't write everything, just that she's very sorry and wants to meet after work. She was overwhelmed by an unknown feeling and that she stayed at her best friend's house, who lied to me like I assumed. Her brother really didn't know. So Ellie has a strong autistic tendency, maybe I should have told that earlier, which explains she may be overrun by new feelings. Normally we talk about that. She's intelligent and her favorite app is Microsoft Excel, but she has difficulties sometimes to adapt to new situations and feelings, and she loves rituals. But she's proof that this condition can be very advantageous. I'm still waiting for Sphere's call, and hope I can do my work today anyhow. I'm very curious what I will get to know, but I kind of still have a bad feeling. As hinted earlier, it does seem to be a case that they are both breaking up with him mutually. Something the OP definitely is in denial about so far. Though some others have a slightly better situation where it might just be a case where Ellie is trying to cut off the relationship between you and Sphere. Like, wow, who would have guessed all these parameters you've established in your extremely multiple plate spinning of a relationship would fall apart. That said, I think this should be pointed out that just because these more open and polyamorous style relationships can fall apart in such a catastrophic way, doesn't make them evidence as to not being worthwhile or they shouldn't be pursued if you want one. The best comparison I can think of is it's like high stakes and high reward. You want a relationship that is as safe and tame and clean as possible? Then yeah, stick to strict monogamy. You want more opportunity for spontaneous highs and explorative fun? Then yeah, take a chance at polyamory, but understand the risks that are involved for your own mental health and the health of others. I just say this because I see a lot of these kind of stories and it makes people seem to think that it's an argument as to why this would never work and monogamy is wrong. I mean, wait, no, polyamory is wrong. Like, yeah, and alcohol permanently affects your brain chemistry as it's developing before the age of 24, but you still drink it. So just as I was about to finish editing this video, we got an update, a conclusion to this story. Was he truly ditched by both of them? You're about to find out. Update. Sphere called me. We talked for an hour and now I start to get the point. What a surprise. An open relationship is getting complicated. She likes me very much too, and wants to be involved in our relationship like a family friend, and I would honestly love that. But there is a reason it won't work, probably. She told me Ellie and her were writing a lot in the last week, while I'm more of the I'll call you kind of guy. Ellie went over to her place and they talked. She won't tell me any details, but I should talk to her myself, and then I'd probably understand. Thanks a lot, everyone. Now I'm pretty sure I lose at least one of them. Start to really regret that kind of stuff. By the way, thanks for the comments and messages. Some of them made me feel very anxious, but others were very comforting and passionate. I know this lifestyle is not for everyone, and there is a bad reputation, but for me, it's the only way to live. Thanks, guys. Now, if we just ignore the goddamn cicadas outside. So there you go. The guy we're rooting for isn't exactly being evicted from the group dates, but is instead experiencing the worst part of an isekai. Over to another off my chest, with a story titled, I'm Done Dating for Good. And just to give you a taste as to what's to come in this story, here's the update. Yeah, she sounds like fun. I've been dating this girl, I'm a 24 male, she's 20 female, for almost 2 years now. Last Wednesday, we went out to a wonderful dinner and movie and was told at the end of the night how happy she was. The next day, a friend of mine sent me a photo of her smoking weed and drinking with a 15-year-old girl in my car she's apparently friends with. I confronted her about it when she got home and made a point that I don't care about smoking, I don't care about drinking, I do care both of you are considered minors, and one of you infinitely more than the other. And what she was doing isn't okay, and I wanted to break up. She left, and I informed her 2 days ago that I wouldn't be home for a few days, so she could finish grabbing her things. While she was doing so, she turned off the thermostat in the house, all of the heat lamps on my tanks. She killed 40 of my fish, a Halloween moon crab, 5 hermit crabs, a ball python, a rat, and 5 zebra finches. They all froze to death. Out of spite. Quick edit, I forgot to mention that the police were contacted and are coordinating with law enforcement in the next state over to attempt to locate her, as she has moved out of state. However, they aren't sure there is much they can do to prove she turned them off. Man, I know that sometimes it's unnecessary and a bit paranoia to just go ahead and buy security cameras in your household before you ever even need them, but my god, is it something that you always wish you had the moment you need it. So even excluding the morality aspect of killing a bunch of animals, and excluding the generalizing of the fish and the hermit crabs, like looking up the zebra finches alone, $20 to $100 each. Halloween moon crab, $35 US. A ball python, $50 to $5,000. Though most costing $100 to $500. Either way, that is a lot of money invested into these animals, and that's not including even just care costs and feeding costs. All that thrown away because the ex got caught out being a piece of schmidt. I guess, on one hand, you could also say that this guy's a bit of an idiot for trusting this woman to be responsible in collecting her things at his house without, doing some sort of damage, especially based on her clear evidence of not being a very responsible person. But we're also critiquing someone who just had 53 of their animals killed, so I don't think it's fair to make that judgment. We now move over to r/marriage, where a day ago, a distraught wife is upset that husband wants to separate finances. And at first, when it was freshly posted, the top comment was saying, oh, the fact he even had the gall to say his money. Which, yeah, understandable, makes you think he's a bit of an a-hole to assume that the money in their relationship is all his. But as we read on, and as we look to more of the comments, you'll notice that, oh right, yeah, this woman did delete everything for a valid reason. Anyway, time to read a pitiful story and then look at their comment history. We've been together for 12 years, married for 7. Husband makes $100K a year. I was a largely stay-at-home mother while homeschooling our kids up until last fall. I'm a teaching assistant and bring home $2,000 a month. I'm applying to post-bachelor and graduate programs to become a teacher. Being a teaching assistant doesn't pay during the summer because we follow the school schedule. I'm also capped at 35 hours a week. I'm looking for an alternative employment, preferably full-time, to replace this job. But now my husband wants to separate finances while he takes on the majority of the expenses. He said he wants more autonomy and the ability to decide unilaterally where finances go since it's his money he earned. Somehow this doesn't sit well with me. Thoughts? Advice? Again, sounds totally innocent, like yes, she's being a victim of this man who wants to control the money. But, as she mentioned in some comments and in previous posts, which sadly we can't see because they've all been deleted, what's this mentioned underneath the top comment? Getting more upvotes. One from me as well because it deserves the attention. So it's been revealed in comments down below, based on the post history, that the wife has had a boyfriend for the last 6 months and refuses to break up with the boyfriend, even though the husband is not okay with the situation. She is apparently polyamorous or something. I don't understand what that means and I can't be bothered to go play detective, but I figured as the top comment, I'd reply to you and let you know that there's a massive context missing from this post. That's right, turns out the husband isn't just being some selfish a-hole, turns out he just wants her to stop spending his money on her play toy. This comment highlights what one of her previous posts were. Hey, would this have anything to do with your husband wanting to not be poly anymore and you refusing to return to monogamy and putting your new partner of 6 months at equal footing with him? Yeah, the man you've married and have a child with versus the guy you've been banging for the last 6 months. Then yeah, they're totally equal footing. And so after this is all revealed, the floodgates open. Everyone is trying to figure out what her goal is here. Apparently, she even has the goal to not acknowledge him as a husband in her previous posts. As this comment points out, she said in those comments, no, he's just partner A. I'll go ahead and update the post with pseudo names. It's spouse, not husband. Also, I identify as being non-hierarchical polyamorous and will not be returning to monogamy. So essentially, she doesn't want to recognize her husband as being the main partner of her life. Now, wonderfully, again, someone's found the link to her previous post. It has been deleted, but wouldn't you know it, someone managed to save the context of the post before it got deleted. The quick story of, my partner realized they aren't polyamorous anymore after 4 years. I'm currently finding myself at a crossroads. I have a partner, Casey, whom I've been with for 11 years and am married to. We also have 2 children together. I also met my other amazing partner, Taylor, over the summer. 4 years ago, I asked Casey if we could practice ethical non-monogamy. They agreed. Shortly afterwards, they realized they were a demisexual and wanted to practice polyamory instead. Now, for those of you not aware of what ethical non-monogamy is, it's essentially an open relationship, sleeping around, but very monitored. STD checks, constant check-ins, heavily established boundaries, etc. In a way, it's an open relationship, but you actually respect the partner you're with? That's my understanding, at least. I might be slightly wrong. Like most couples, we started off hierarchical, then non-hierarchical. Casey has not responded well to me seeing Taylor as my other equal partner, in addition to me loving them. Casey recently admitted that they never liked the idea of me being emotionally non-monogamous with others, although they're fine with me sleeping with others. They assured me that they were okay with it for the last few years. They also told me that they no longer identify as being polyamorous, but rather emotionally non-monogamous. To summarize, they're fine with you sleeping around, but they're not fine with you having feelings for others. I thought this was perhaps a reaction to not having their needs and wants met, so I sat down with them, but they clarified they wanted to be the priority, not a priority, and my only emotionally monogamous partner. This is not an option for me. Casey doesn't know if they're okay with this, so I've given them a month to process this news and decide if they're okay with this. Currently, I feel blindsided and disappointed in the handling of this situation. If you've been in a similar scenario, how'd you handle it? And so after a month of thinking about it, what does he do? Oh, he wants to separate finances. So yeah, we can all see where this is going. Now over to some fun screw-ups of the day. Today I screwed up by sleeping with my niece. My wife, 39 female, has a niece who's 19 who goes to college nearby. She comes by for dinner once to twice a week and stays the night about half the time. It's usually a last-minute decision. She'll stay if she's tired or if she's had drinks. We have 2 guest bedrooms. One is at the other end of the house from ours. It has its own bath and is nicer. Guests, including the niece, usually stay in there. The second bedroom is next to ours and usually only gets used when the nicer one is already occupied. It also gets used by me frequently when my wife snores. Last night, the niece comes by. We have dinner and wine. I go to bed early and they're still chatting. I wake up around 1 a.m. because the wife is snoring. Half asleep, I stumble into the guest room and fall asleep. I wake up about an hour ago and realize my niece is in the bed too. I guess she decided to stay, but why she used this room, I don't know. She's never used it before. I quickly exited the room and am now drinking coffee and wondering how I'm going to deal with this. The bed's a king and has one of those isolating mattresses where you aren't supposed to feel movement from someone else. I also sleep pretty calmly, a habit I learned in the military. So she probably never knew I was there, but I feel the need to at least mention it to my wife. This is a place where the cover-up might be worse than the hit. Then again, that might lead up to another today I screwed up later. Top advice: hide it from your wife and act weird around your niece. Yes, this is the best advice. In all seriousness, the common sense answer is, if you explain to your wife exactly as you stated it here, you might be surprised as to how much of a non-issue this turns out to be. I wouldn't open with, I slept with your niece though. Definitely don't open with, your snoring was so damn loud I slept with your niece. Here we go, guys. Why did your niece sleep in the guest room next to our room last night rather than the one down the hall? The reason I ask is ... Yeah, okay, OP, take these 2 comments, combine them, and you'll be fine. Why did your niece sleep in the guest room next to our room last night rather than the one down the hall? The reason I ask is I slept with your niece. Oh, wait, why did I sleep with your niece in the guest room last night rather than the one down the hall? That's worse. Anyway, that's the end of today's shenanigans. Thank you so much for watching. As always, thank you to those who post these crazy stories if you're either blinded by your arrogance or desperately seeking help. Until next time though, you be good. Remember to gluggy gug gloggle on that warty water. Just slurpy derpy on that oxygeny hydrogen. Yep, I'm the best at outros. Bye!